What's up? What's up? Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Scheming. I am so excited. We've got playoff Chiefs football as they're going into the divisional round versus the Houston Texans. And today I'm going to break down what I am really most excited to see because we haven't really seen it the entirety of the season, which is this set of weapons. And it's not obviously just the wide receivers that I'm going to be talking about today, the running backs, the tight ends, all working together to have playoff Patrick Mahomes ready to lead this team on the road to a three-peat, and Andy Reid to scheme up the plays necessary to put these guys in the right positions to succeed. This video is going to focus on, of course, the rookie Xavier, who we've seen growing over the course of the year, Mr. Hollywood Brown, who has come back recent weeks and really unlocked this offense and its more explosive abilities to put points on the board. And of course, DeAndre Hopkins, the steady veteran that the Chiefs traded for mid-season, that was able to stabilize this offense and keep it afloat as we move forward into the season from that perspective. I'm extremely excited to get into this. Thank you guys so much for joining me. But first, I do want to let you guys know that we do have our partnership with Underdog Fantasy again. Make sure you guys are ready for divisional round playoffs. You can use that code TRUE3 at the bottom there for a $100 deposit match. And special for you guys coming up on tomorrow, free pick Patrick Mahomes over 0.5 total yards. You know he's going to get that. That's light work for Patrick Mahomes. You can put that on your new customer entry. Please make sure that you sign up. This is going to be a great playoff run. We want you guys to go ahead and make some money alongside us. We, of course, Tell the Truth, will have our Tell the Truth trifecta coming out here on tomorrow morning. You'll be on the lookout for that. Add those plays to your underdog entry. Be ready to go ahead and get some winnings, man. I'm looking forward to it so much. We will let you guys know what those plays are. But now it's time to go ahead and get into this tape and what's going to be able to make the difference when it comes for the Chiefs in this playoff run from the wide receiver perspective. Let's get it. All right. We are going to start here with Mr. Marquise Hollywood Brown himself. Again, this is a guy that we were extremely excited to add to Chiefs Kingdom. I certainly was. We saw it throughout training camp, the explosive nature of his game. Unfortunately, it ended right after that first preseason catch that we saw versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. We thought it was going to be a short-term injury. Unfortunately, kept him out all the way until this Week 16 game versus the Houston Texans. And again, this is a game that he only played about 29% of the snaps in. But in those 29% of the snaps, he was a highly effective, highly impactful, and you expect that percentage to go up in the rematch versus the Texans in the divisional round. So we're going to roll through some important things from this game and then also the Steelers Christmas Day game he had an impact in and see what he was able to add to this offense and how it helped the other wide receivers and weapons of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid scheme up, attack every single blade of grass, both horizontally and vertically, because of his speed, his ability to catch the ball, which then also brings in Patrick Mahomes' trust in him to catch the ball, and his ability to run routes, be in the right place at the right time, and get open, whether it's versus man or zone from that perspective as well. Threaten all three levels of the defense. So we're going to start out here. Key 4th and 1, first quarter, straight out of the gate. We're going to show the diagram here. Hollywood Brown is going to come in motion, create a stack with both DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier at the bottom of the screen. There's going to be a pretty classic mesh concept that we've seen on a multitude of occasions. Kelsey and Hollywood are going to combine for the other new drag routes. Xavier is going to run a little bit of a shallow clear out that's going to end up turning into a cross. And then at the top of the screen, you're going to Justin Watson. It's not DeAndre Hopkins on the field. I apologize. Justin Watson is going to run that kind of slot fade up the sideline to create a little bit of extra space as well. Now, what I want to key in on, watch what Derek Stingley does as Hollywood Brown comes in motion. So you're going to see Hollywood Brown come on down. Derek Stingley is going to motion with him. Patrick Mahomes gets the indicator that this is a man defense from the Houston Texans. They love to run that man coverage, aggressive defense with DeMeco Ryans scheming it up. This is the perfect man beater as far as mesh is concerned. Now, the miscommunication comes in when you get that condensed formation as far as the stack at the top of the screen. It's very difficult to sort that out occasionally. What you're going to see as I run it, Derek Stingley stays outside. Nobody on the inside ends up picking up his guy. You see 29 runs out with their running back Kareem Hunt out of the backfield as well. Xavier Worthy's guy ends up trailing him. Justin Watson is taking both Derek Stingley and Jimmy Ward, the safety, out of the picture. So you've got Kelsey, and these guys are going to cross, and you're going to see the guy that's on Kelsey is going to try and peel off to Hollywood Brown. But the speed of Hollywood Brown is sticking in stride with the accurate throw from Patrick Mahomes is going to allow him to run away from him and allow him to still get this first down and even get some more yards after the catch, as we see right here. Even in that moment, the guy that was trailing Kelsey ended up guessing right and leaving Kelsey wide open subsequently. but Hollywood Brown's ability made it so that it didn't matter, and he was able to get a nice 8-10 yard gain on 4th and 1, convert and keep the drive rolling. And we knew that Patrick Mahomes ended up finishing off that drive as far as his touchdown run is concerned. I want to see it from the opposite angle as well, just to see the conflict that you're going to see in the middle of the field. You're going to see guys crisscrossing all over the place, and you're going to see ultimately the guy that is trailing Kelsey, who's just on the screen to the left, trying to stick with him and then peeling off and realizing the ball's going to Hollywood Brown just too late because Hollywood Brown's going to end up converting. Also, a solid job in protection by everybody here. They do send 5 in the protection. They got a single high safety as well. They're playing man across the board. Everybody mans up. Mike Caliendo does his job. Joe Tooney out there, left tackle as well. We do expect that it'll be DJ Humphries at left tackle and Joe Tooney inside, but we'll certainly see from that perspective. But again, watch Xavier Worthy clear his man out. Travis Kelsey's man tries to peel off, but it's too late. That incredible throw by Patrick Mahomes, by the way. Look at that window that he gets it through. Right by 48, right by the linebacker, in stride with Hollywood Brown, and that's an easy conversion. And this is what he brings to the table because we've seen a lot of Xavier Worthy kind of running those drag routes underneath early on and throughout the season ultimately. But now Xavier Worthy doesn't have to. You can use Xavier Worthy's speed to clear out guys and have Hollywood Brown instead have that role from that perspective. Or, of course, you can swap those guys. And that's one of the things that we'll talk about as we get into this a little bit more. I did want to specifically point out here, there were opportunities that they did miss throughout this game. And even though the opportunities were shortened because of the snap count, there were chances that they did just a tick off on. And these are things that we've seen, obviously, Mahomes get on the same page with his wide receivers. The way that these guys kind of trust each other already, though, I think that these are they're going to be chemistry-wise a little bit ahead of the curve and making sure that they're on the same page as far as the playoffs, especially given that they had the training camp together. So this is going to be a stable concept. Xavier Worthy is going to run, a little bit of a corner post to the bottom of the screen, pull that high safety away. They're going to get a backside dig from Noah Gray. Kelsey's going to stay in the block and chip and release. Hollywood Brown is ultimately going to run the out and up the sideline. And you can see the conflict that's ultimately going to put the Texans defense in place. They try and run a little bit of a 3 high safety look. Derek Stingley is getting depth as he should. The underneath defender is playing that flat. And ultimately, there's just a little bit of room in between Jimmy Ward and Derek Stingley for Hollywood Brown to run into. As Patrick Mahomes rolls out, he's looking for him. Now, what I want to notice here, and this is why I think that it won't be an issue come playoff time, Hollywood Brown is putting his hand up to say that I'm open. Patrick Mahomes is throwing the ball already. Hollywood Brown needs to keep on running. If he keeps running, he's going past Derek Stingley, and this is going to be 6. Instead, he's just a little bit uncertain, puts his hand up that he feels like he's got to get that indicator. Now, Patrick Mahomes is going to see you. He's going to get the ball to you if you open, I promise. That's going to be something that Hollywood Brown does learn now playing with Patrick Mahomes. He does shorten up just a little bit. Patrick Mahomes is throwing it in stride to Hollywood Brown, ultimately just a little bit higher and too far from that perspective. That's something that I think will end up being better as far as come playoff time as well. And I did want to also point out, it's a little bit of a play action concept from this perspective, but this is also what you end up doing to a Texans defense that wants to get after the quarterback. Change the platform. Patrick Mahomes is plenty athletic enough. None of those rushers that are inside right now matter because Patrick Mahomes is a clear, throwing lane from that perspective. And again, just a little bit high where he's throwing it in stride to Hollywood Brown. Just keep running down the sideline. He's going to find you as well. So here we're going to get to the second missed shot that we saw. Another stable concept, going to have a Kareem Hunt run that, just go route, running back special. Hopkins and Kelsey are going to have mirrors, fake ins, go back out, kind of zig routes from that perspective. Justin Watson to the bottom of the screen is just going to stop. Main one here, you see like you're getting man coverage because you spread it out into empty. You got the safety running out with Kareem Hunt there. Single high safety, so you know what you're looking at as far as the coverage is concerned. Hollywood Brown here is going to be matched up one-on-one with Kamar Lassiter, and this is going to be a key one in this entire game. They had Lassiter inside a little bit more necessarily. They had Jeff Okudah outside a little bit more. They put Bryant in the wild card game inside, so we'll see how much Lassiter plays outside. But you'll see enough of Lassiter on Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins. He's been the primary second corner to Derek Stingley Jr. on the other side from that perspective too. But he's not the fastest guy, and there are opportunities to get down the field and occasionally beat him. So Hollywood Brown is going to run the slot fade. And this is something that you've seen a little bit throughout Patrick Mahomes' career, that he's been able to throw the back shoulder aspect of it if the wide receiver doesn't immediately stack and get a step on the cornerback. And I think here that's exactly what he's kind of looking for. You're going to see, Hollywood Brown do a good job closing that gap and then get that turn to the outside. Doesn't necessarily get a full step, does get a little bit of separation, and Patrick Mahomes is throwing it for that back shoulder aspect of that slot fade. Ultimately, Hollywood Brown just doesn't turn around in time to try and make a play on the ball. And look, this again, chemistry thing, especially as we're going downfield. This is something here. Just got to be on the same page of where that timing was going to come in. You're going to see a little bit of where the window was specifically that Patrick Mahomes is throwing into, but he knows that he got to the man coverage because they send Kareem out to the wide side to have the safety follow him. Sees the man coverage of the spread out defensive formation as well. Then that changes the picture. Single high safety, so he knows he has the opportunities on the split safety look. The corner is not going to be playing trail from that perspective, and therefore he just tries to throw it to the outside shoulder. Either Hollywood Brown could have looked back a little bit earlier and made that play, or Patrick Mahomes could have thrown that a little bit later. To me, based on how the corner ends up turning it on time, Hollywood Brown looking a little bit earlier possibly could have had a down the field explosive from that perspective. That being said, doesn't mean that there weren't, explosive plays created with Hollywood Brown back here. And this is going to be the primary example of that. This is going to be a really good 4-by-1 set, and I think this is something that you're going to see a lot more of as we get into the playoffs to try and put the defense in conflict. Texans again are going to match with man coverage and out of the stack, especially in a 4-by-1 look. That's going to be very difficult. If you watch the wild card round for the Bills and the Broncos, this is the play that got Khalil Shakir open for a touchdown versus Patrick Surtain II. Here, Xavier Worthy at the top of the stack is going to run the clear out that crosser. It's going to end up taking her out. Also, Hollywood Brown's man, who's the primary route here in yellow, is going to run that corner. DeAndre Hopkins running the little zig out there on the inside. Kelsey and Gray are going to end up chipping as the outside help, which again, that's what you like to do as far as a team that wants to get after you with their edge rushers. You can use your tight ends to chip, give the guys more time to be able to attack down the field. Stick in this single high man coverage, we can attack it from that perspective, especially coming out of this stack. So pay attention here. Xavier Worthy, top of the route, gets his man, gets 23. 39 is stuck in the mud, doesn't know really what to do because he still has to have eyes on Travis Kelsey. Kelsey and Gray chip effectively, keep those edge rushers nice and condensed so that they don't get after Patrick Mahomes. He has a clean pocket to operate from. DeAndre Hopkins working underneath, identifies his defender. They're stuck together as far as the man coverage is concerned. Hollywood Brown goes scot-free to the sideline. Patrick Mahomes delivers it on time. Ends up being a really chunk play there. A nice 20-yard gain. Those explosive plays coming back to the offense because of the extra speed element and ability to tempo the route occasion effectively is what Hollywood Brown can bring to the table. We'll show the reverse angle so that you guys can see a little bit of the protection and a little bit of what's coming on underneath. You're going to see Xavier Worthy streak across the screen, take out 23 in, who's supposed to be on Hollywood Brown. They can't sort out that man coverage effectively. Hollywood Brown ends up getting down the field, and that is Murphy, who I was referring to earlier. So that's what I'm talking about as far as even though some of those missed shots did not end up converting, there are still explosives that they did convert. And I think that you'll see better chemistry as far as the playoffs are concerned. They'll have a chance to do that with Hollywood Brown. Now, where we transition a little bit is Hollywood Brown being able to once again help out Xavier Worthy and do some of those things that Xavier Worthy has been forced to do really early on and has helped him to go from this perspective. You're just going to see it's going to be a quick speed out to the bottom of the screen. We've seen Xavier Worthy run this a bunch in recent weeks as he continued to add to repertoire. Mahomes puts it on time on target. 2nd and 8, that turns it into a 3rd and 2. That's exactly where you want to be. 3rd and short situations, that's what keeps this team ahead of 6, the offense on schedule and converting and move the ball down the field. So that's a gimme throw, gimme play. Hollywood Brown can run that speed out because that's similar speed as Xavier Worthy and has the hands to make the catch on the sideline in that perspective. That being said, I do want to talk about Xavier Worthy's specific growth as we talk about, how we can now, because Hollywood Brown is here, takes a little bit of burden off of Xavier Worthy, and that includes DeAndre Hopkins as well. You use them in very targeted manners in the way that you can get after guys from that perspective as well. So we're going to go to the Christmas Day game where we end up having, once again, the ability for Xavier Worthy to be used in those specific moments. Now, it's important you get the top of the screen, Hollywood Brown in the slot, Xavier Worthy to the top of the screen. It's going to put defense in conflict specifically towards the sideline. You get Hollywood Brown on that corner route to stretch that deep safety, deeper, keep that corner honest as far as on the inside. Travis Kelsey coming on the backside dig as well to drag some attention from the underneath defenders from that perspective. And Xavier Worthy is going to do with a nice savvy veteran wide receiver we do settle up in the zone on the sideline and get some yards after the catch as well. Noah Gray is going to stay in the chip. They're going to send Pacheco on the play action fake to help out the slant or out the flat, I should say. Xavier Worthy settles up there right on the sideline, catches get some extra yards. And we've seen this with, Tyreek Hill, all manners of wide receivers here in Chiefs Kingdom, be able to make those catches, get a little bit of yards after the catch, but most importantly, understand where to sit down in zone. And again, the space that Hollywood Brown stretches that cornerback there that was sitting underneath, cornerback on the slot isn't able to get outside in enough time. Xavier Worthy, therefore, can sit in that open zone, be able to get that first down and keep the chains moving. Again, this is just an understanding that Xavier Worthy, I think, came into the league with a good understanding of, but now you've seen it grown and grown as far as being able to settle up into space and use his speed effectively when he has the ball in his hands as well, from that perspective as well. And being able, or as I say, being forced into a bigger role, I think will pay dividends as we get into the playoffs for sure. Now, this next play is going to be a good example of that, and I'll let you guys kind of see the throw from Patrick Mahomes' perspective here. Once again, just a little bit on the move after the play action fake on the money, and then go ahead and get Xavier Worthy some of those extra yards as well. Patrick Mahomes, athletic quarterback, can do what athletic quarterbacks do. So this down here around the 15-yard line, and we're in the red zone. This again looks like that stack at the bottom of the screen. Kelsey's going to run on that shallow cross is going to end up settling up as well. Hollywood Brown's going to come on the drag from the opposite side. DeAndre Hopkins is going to run that slot fade. Now, important to say here, and again, this plays into a little bit that Emmanuel Acho's been throwing around as far as the man coverage from the Texans being able to have the different levels for the cornerbacks and still give them a chance to stick in the man coverage even out of the Chiefs stacks, which to an extent is fair, but I also think is not necessarily all that relevant given the fact of how many times the Chiefs were able to take advantage of it, even with limited snaps from Hopkins and Hollywood Brown. This is one of those examples in the standpoint of this. Hopkins is going to give a little bit of rub to start, and I'm going to go ahead and let it play so that you guys can see it as Kelsey comes in that quick motion. A little bit rub to start, and be like, oh, well, that's where Xavier Worthy's just going to end up being able to run away from him. But this is where Xavier Worthy does a good job at tempoing his route, specifically so that Derek Stingley, after he's free from that contact, still tries to jump inside. They want to get Xavier Worthy to that outside, have the edge to be able to run away. He tempos his route effectively, quick cut to get outside. Stingley gives up that outside shoulder. Mahomes puts it on the money, and Xavier Worthy ends up getting a nice 13-yard gain to get us inside the 5-yard line and set up well. And again, some will say that this is all about the rub route from DeAndre Hopkins. It plays a role, but I do think that the tempering and timing and the cut from Xavier Worthy here is key. Sign of growth. That's an all-pro corner there. It's no slouch he's doing it against. I think you got to give the wide receiver some credit for being able to do that effectively. Holmes puts it on time and on target, and we get inside the 5-yard line as well. And these are the things that I think that Xavier Worthy and the time in which he's been forced into a bigger role now has a better feel for being able to do these things on a consistent basis. And we can use them in those specific targeted ways. You don't have to have him run the backside drag because Hollywood Brown can do those things. And also, you don't have to have him run the zig route because you know what? Hollywood Brown can also do those things as well. You can use him in those ways you specifically want to. So next step, as far as what Xavier Worthy working off of Hollywood Brown presents, is the fact that they can create space for each other. And because you have the speed threats that they are, you're going to see what that ends up creating as far as the bottom of the screen is concerned. Noah Gray, Travis Kelce running a little both comeback routes to the bottom of the screen. They're going to have Samaje Perine come across as far as a little bit of play action fake, but also a cross dogging to go ahead and get out into the flat as well. You're going to have Perine come to the flat, hold those kind of underneath defenders. Xavier Worthy running that dig route to be able to hold the inside defender. The speed threat of Worthy and Hollywood on the same side is going to end up lifting the coverage as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers are concerned. Hollywood's going to run that kind of sail route, just straight deeper out route to be able to get wide open. You'll see where the spaces ended up being created as well. Xavier Worthy gets a little wide on 25 to engage him to make sure that he's not a guy that's getting depth as far as that is concerned. Then comes off to try and get that inside feel. 25 identifies Pacheco out of the backfield. It's not P. Ryan. Pacheco out of the backfield coming into the flat as well. Inside defender holding on to Worthy as well. And then what you're going to see is these deep cover 3 defenders are getting that space away from these guys because they want to make sure that they don't give up that easy cushion as well. Hollywood Brown is getting that nice open void in the middle because 25 is sinking to the flat. And what you got is Patrick Mahomes putting it on the money for a nice 15-yard gain to Hollywood Brown to convert as far as that's concerned. And that's really what it's all about, creating space for each other, Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown being able to create that space for one another, and then what they could do for the other weapons as well. And that's what we're going to get into here from this perspective. And that's where the third puzzle piece, as far as this wide receiver room is concerned, DeAndre Hopkins specifically. And this is the guy that can work alongside Travis Kelce to win one-on-one man coverage matchups, specifically underneath when that space is created from Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. It doesn't have to be just one-on-one man coverage. It can also be zone, which we'll show here. But his ability to have that feel, the physicality, the sure hands, and then also be able to finish at the end of the route once he has the ball in his hands. Those are the things that are making him the perfect veteran to pair with Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy's speed. And you're going to see the fruits of that labor right here. Hollywood Brown's going to come in motion to the bottom of the screen. We'll go ahead and just pause it so we can see the diagram. Kelsey's going to run a little quick comebacker. Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, we're going to run a little bit of that, level, that flood concept to the bottom of the screen. Worthy's going to run the deeper route. Hollywood's going to run the shallower route, and then the intermediate route, I should say. And DeAndre Hopkins is going to settle up with a little bit fake in, zig out, and he's just going to find that soft spot because to get to the markers, he knows he's got to get to that 41 yards. And you're going to end up seeing the space that's created as a result. So you stop it right here. Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, threatening those 4-level defenders, and ultimately they're making sure the inside defender right there on that left hash is looking at Xavier Worthy like, okay, I can't let him cross my face and get too deep. I can't let that happen. 23 is like, I got to play both of these guys and make sure that I don't let them get past me too easily. 11's playing that bail coverage type where he's completely with his back to the sideline, making sure he's trying to split the difference and make sure nothing's too easy. Obviously, the deep half safety is far back there to make sure none of these guys can run past him. Ultimately, though, that creates a little bit of a bubble for DeAndre Hopkins to settle up in that 36, 37 yard line marker, 36, 37 yard line marker, and he knows he's got to get to the 41. He's going to catch it, be physical after the catch, and go ahead and get that first down as well. And that's, again, just that veteran savvy, understanding the space, catching the ball, not being too fast and dropping it by accident, catching the ball, making sure to finish it. And, you don't want to do the Quentin Johnston routine from that perspective. DeAndre Hopkins has far sure hands to be compared to that man from that aspect. So that is a little bit of that space creating from that standpoint. But it's not just what Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy can do for DeAndre Hopkins. It's also what DeAndre Hopkins in general can do for this entire offense as well. So as far as DeAndre Hopkins and those one-on-one man coverage dirty work wins to be able to get underneath. See a good example of this right here as we get into a stable concept. Hollywood Brown, top of the screen, going to run a little bit of a comebacker. Travis Kelce is going to have one of his Travis Kelce routes where he's going to get into the cornerback and then kind of do whatever he wants to afterwards. Running back's going to bail out to the flat. Bottom of the screen, Xavier Worthy is going to run a really deep dig and really trying to create a little bit of extra space as far as occupying that single high safety as well. Underneath, though, this is about DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one slot defender. Can you end up guarding me? It's 3rd and 8. Are we going to end up converting on this? DeAndre Hopkins is in the slot. You see it's man-to-man coverage across the board. He's against Jimmy Ward. Takes the inside, is able to create that separation at the top of the route. Mahomes puts the ball on the money. DeAndre Hopkins catches it. Sorry, 2nd and 10. Makes it a 3rd and 2. Again, trying to make sure you're ahead of the sticks, creating short third downs if you have to get there or converting before you end up getting there. And I also want to show the reverse angle because I think it's important just to see some of the really good chemistry between Patrick Mahomes and DeAndre Hopkins, both in the trust factor and just timing factor overall from that aspect. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes and what his vision can kind of do from this perspective too. And I specifically point out the vision because Patrick Mahomes is going to move that linebacker 48 with how he looks over to Travis Kelce's side immediately following the snap. And I'll pause it so you guys can see it. Right here, you see how he's, raring it though. That moves 48 just enough inches that he needs him. Hey, I'm looking here. I'm looking Travis Kelce. Go send some extra help Travis Kelce ways. And that's exactly what Patrick Mahomes' vision can do. Meanwhile, DeAndre Hopkins is getting to the top of the route, already has inside leverage on Ward, is going to open up that window. Patrick Mahomes is going to come back to that window as DeAndre Hopkins wins right on time. And that's a really effective play. Nice 8-yard in route just to get him. And again, this is the veteran savvy of DeAndre Hopkins here as we get to the top of the route. I'll show you guys right here. Just a little bit, not a lot, but not just enough. So that there's a little bit of physicality at the top. Just creates that separation to make sure that Ward can't stick with him. Mahomes is on time and on target with the throw. And that's going to be a nice 8-yard completion, set up a short third down as well. And again, this is just an example of what DeAndre Hopkins can do in those one-on-one situations to win in the middle of the field. Now it's just not all on Travis Kelce's shoulders. And we know that Travis Kelce would be better than the playoffs, but he doesn't have to take on that entire burden because this wide receiver core in general has gotten better, but specifically what DeAndre Hopkins brings to the table. And this last specific one, as far as DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one, I think is important because it's a unique talent that he brings to the table that we've seen occasionally be used. We saw a little bit with Juju Smith-Schuster. We saw a sprinkle of it with Rashee Rice before he got hurt. But the ability just to go outside, true X, go ahead and win on this route, and we'll go ahead and get a nice conversion as far as first down is concerned. This is all this is about. And that's why ultimately this is only going to show one route. This is about DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one with the corner on the outside, Jeff Okudah. Hey, get physical, get past it, recognize that Patrick Mahomes has already thrown the ball, turn around right on time, straddle the sideline, get your feet in, catch the ball. Easy 15-yard play because DeAndre Hopkins is that good of a wide receiver from that perspective. You're not going to want to leave him one-on-one with Jeff Okudah too often. So you're probably going to see a lot of Lassiter if it's that kind of isolation. But again, that's a conundrum that this wide receiver core is going to put you into. It's not going to be easy for the Texans to match up man-to-man if they want to as well. Patrick Mahomes says, hey, I'm coming right back to you, DeAndre. Make this catch on the sideline. Beautiful. Just gorgeous as far as the timing, the tempo of the route, the physicality from DeAndre Hopkins, and obviously the excellent work on the sideline to go in and finish the play as well. That is the unique skill set that he brings to the table. So the last thing that I did want to see, and I want to take it back to that Christmas Day game specifically, because I think it's important to look at. What you're going to see here is then the last part of it. Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown being interchangeable makes it easier to be targeted as far as Xavier Worthy is concerned. You can use Hollywood Brown against man zone. Both those guys can create space for each other. Both those guys can then create space for DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one, who's not on the field pictured here. But then those guys all create opportunities for the other guys in this offense. Noah Gray, obviously Travis Kelce as well, the running backs out of the backfield, and guys like Justin Watson or Juju Smith-Schuster to still make plays because less attention is going to be paid to them. And you're going to see it here in a circumstance as far as the Steelers are concerned. And I wanted to pick out this play, single high safety, man-to-man coverage, because this is what you're going to see a lot versus the Texans. Travis Kelce is going to stay in the block. Hollywood Brown is going to end up playing or running that, running that little basic in as far as the middle of the field is concerned. And you're going to see Xavier Worthy run that little skinny, just a little nod outside to get that corner and then run that post. But it's going to occupy that single high safety because both of those guys are going to have vision on what's happening in the middle of the field. Now, still from the reverse angle as well. They send the slot corner blitz. Travis Kelce does a great job at picking it up. And I think that's important to point out here. Travis Kelce at picking up 25 as far as that slot blitz is concerned. But then you see where things are balling out from this standpoint. Safety has to come down to the depth to play Xavier Worthy. Hollywood Brown is engaged at the top of the screen in man-to-man coverage. Justin Watson one-on-one, bottom of the screen. And again, Justin Watson, not a great route runner, but somebody does bring speed to the table. If you're not ready for that speed, he can run past you. And we've seen it, on a multitude of occasions. We even saw it in that Texans matchup that he got on the safety, got behind him, just wasn't able to convert. This one, of course, he was. And the last piece of this, that single high safety in the middle of the field has no chance at helping as far as the bottom of the screen is concerned because he's got to be wary, I should say, of those speed demons here in Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown in the middle of the field. And I show it from the reverse angle because Mahomes helps out. Mahomes gets back to Justin Watson being his man downfield, puts it on the money. Great explosive play to kind of start the game and really get that momentum rolling from that perspective. But I did want to show, again, the reverse angle. And this is just a sprinkle because Mahomes does this on every single snap. And he even takes it to a different level when he's in the playoffs. But Mahomes has gotten so great at understanding and manipulating defenses. We know all the arm talent and athleticism that he brings to the table, but his vision, his timing, and his tempo and being able to manipulate where the defenses are looking just heightens everything is what this defense or this offense is built on. The ability for Andy Reid's scheme to be paired with all of that talent, and now the weapons really match up to that perspective to attack defenses down the field. It's great to watch. So I want to point it out just from that reverse angle. See Kelce in motion, going to come across. Kelce again, great job again after that safety, that cornerback blitz off the slot. And again, look at Patrick Mahomes' vision. We're looking straight down the middle of the field. We're doing that Madden 05, little tunnel vision cone for those that remember. Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, middle of the field, single high safety, has to stick on these two guys because matches where Patrick Mahomes is paying attention to, sticks on them, then comes back to Hollywood Brown or to Xavier to sorry, my apologies, to Justin Watson being his man down the sideline there, puts it on the money, and that's an explosive play right there for you. So all that being said, like I'm extremely excited to see what this wide receiver core does to continue to unlock the ability for this team to attack defenses on all three levels horizontally with that type of speed. Hollywood Brown creating space for Xavier Worthy and his growth, being able to create space for others, the ability for DeAndre Hopkins to win those one-on-one dirty work assignments as well. And of course, what that can open up then for the rest of the offense. I'm extremely excited for some Chiefs football. Make sure you guys tune in. We'll, of course, have a post-game show, and we may have something special coming for you guys on Sunday for you guys to tune into as far as Sunday night and what the game will look like for the Ravens as Bills as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Stay Scheming. It's playoff time, baby. I'm excited. Hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy. Peace out. Go Chiefs.